One, two, three. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Travis here, aka Matsu, and today I'm bringing you the first episode of a new series that I am calling Building with Travis. So basically, this series is going to be me building a deck on Ultra and explaining kind of my thought process while I'm building the deck, strategies, tips like that for deck building. Without further ado, let's get into it. But before I do that, make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, go check out PPG, check out my Patreon, all that kind of cool stuff. Anyways, let's get into it. So my idea for today was I was going to be building Endeavor 2 on the Earth symbol. And he is a very generic character that does a lot of generic things, so to kind of play to those strengths, we also want our deck to be doing generically strong things. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is we're going to go into the attacks, because I always do my attacks first when I'm deck building, because your attacks really set the kind of foundation for what the rest of your deck is going to be doing, and then you can build your foundations to support that. I know some people who do the other way around, and that's perfectly fine, but this is my personal method of making a deck. So as you can see, we've got a lot of like choices to make here. We're gonna keep scrolling. Another thing to do is to have a gimmick in mind, or something that you kind of want your centralized strategy to be. So in my case, I want my centralized strategy to be focusing on the punch package, because I think that's just one of the most efficient attack lineups that you can have in this game. So I'm gonna build towards that. So keep scrolling. Something that you actually can do is, if you're building towards a specific keyword, is you can just put all of the attacks with that keyword into your deck, and then you can cut once you get to that point. Now, obviously, a lot of these are going to end up getting cut. That's fine, but it's good to have them to have the ability to generalize ideas and just kind of see what you may or may not want to be running in your deck, because you know you might end up missing something if you don't, right? This is a punch. It's also a punch. We're just gonna keep going through here until we put every punch in our deck. And there are so many things with the punch keyword, which I guess is unsurprising in a MHA format. There do be a lot of punching going on. All right, let's get to the deck. As you can see, it's an absurd amount of cards. So what we're gonna go through and do first is we're gonna cut the bad checks, because we're trying to be a very consistent deck, so we don't want anything lower than a 3 check in our deck. So Joint Effort, you're out of here. Detroit Smash, you're out of here. Gale Force, you're gone. Double Front Beatdown, you're out of here. And now this leaves us with 88. So we're kind of getting there. Now we're gonna go through and we're gonna really decide what we want the quality of our attacks to be. So we're not a mill deck. This doesn't play towards any kind of strategy we have, so we're not gonna play Final Exam Gutshot. We're not Tetsu Tetsu, and we don't need the high block, so we're gonna cut Tetsu Tetsu Fist. Hellflame Cross Punch is a good attack, but it's kind of hard for us to consistently get to 8 damage on it, so we are cutting that one. Hardened Crusher, we're not really a deck that's trying to flip over all of our opponent's foundations. We're going to cut that. We're at 72. Smash, same thing as the last one. We're not really trying to flip all of our opponent's stuff. Hardened Steel, yet again, not really a mill deck, so we don't really need this card. Death Arms Wallop, don't care about flipping our opponent's stuff. Berserker Blow, we're not Nomu. There is a consideration for playing that card because we can put speed on it, but it's a little aggressive for my liking. We like keeping our resources. Hardened Pummel, don't really need this guy. We're not worried about them plus ultra blocking. Merciless Rush is a consideration. We'll come back to that one. Relentless Barrage, we're not really trying to do the Relentless Barrage combo thing. And if I was, I think I'd rather do it with Tetsu Tetsu Thrashing. So we're gonna cut that. Forceful Blow. It's a good momentum out, and it does get us some kind of card advantage if they block it, especially if we make it a 4 mid for 7. I'm gonna move this one down to a 2 of, because it might actually stay in the deck. Karate Chop. This one I'm also gonna move down to a 2 of, because if we centralize our attack zones and make sure that they're kind of spread evenly, we can make this card work. Hardened Uppercut, I'm also going to move to a 2 of, because it's a good block. Barrage, depending on our foundations, this card can get better or worse. I'm going to leave both of these in here at a 4 of for right now. Leaping Right Hook is pretty good card draw. It's a 5 high 4 in our character, or a 7 high 2, I guess. Sorry. Although I don't think we really need it. I think we're better off just playing other moves. Missouri Smash is a 5 high 5 in our character because we can cut one to give it 2 speed, and it's pretty premium card draw, so I'm going to leave that right there for now. Texas Smash, I don't think our character really needs the damage per se, so I'm just going to leave that at a 2 of. Chop, we're not really a character that generates face downs like super efficiently for this card, and when it comes to cards like this, you really want to have it active basically on your turn too. So I'm gonna cut that one. Jab is just a generically good attack. It's essentially a 3 diff. It either builds the top if we have no face downs, or it adds a card to our hand, which replaces itself and readies a foundation essentially. So that's definitely staying. Coming back to Merciless Rush, I don't think we really need it, so we're just gonna cut that. Now this is where we have to make the concessions, right? This is where we're getting down to the point where we have to kind of decide like what our deck is really going to be doing. And I think due to the fact that our character has minus speed on face, we don't really need Hardened Uppercut in our deck. We're just gonna trim that. Forceful Blow is honestly just a little worse than Hardened Jab in most aspects, so we're gonna cut that as well. We need to cut 4 more attacks, so I'd like this to get this down to the 20 ranges. So, and it's basically between Missouri Smash and Hardened Barrage. Barrage is very good, like, utility, value stuff. It lets us unflip important copies of our foundations that maybe get flipped. So that's a huge consideration, but Missouri Smash just lets us build during the combat phase if it touches our opponent, so I think we're gonna go with Missouri Smash. So, as you can see here, we have 4 lows. If we're trying to make Karate Chop work, then we'd have to put in some more lows, probably 2 more lows, maybe trim some highs. This is very interesting, though. We could just kind of make a concession on this and maybe play like another Texas Smash or a different 2-of attack, I think I'm actually going to choose to cut this in favor of, let's go uppercut. I know we just cut it from the deck, but I do think that it is a little better than that card in this specific scenario. It's just very good with Texas Smash. Like Texas Smash into Hardened Uppercut is just so much damage. It's 13 damage basically. 15 if we know they can't block it regardless, so that just kills people. And now we move on to the foundations. So as we can see, this is our attack lineup. Mostly 4-ofs with some 2-ofs. You can also choose to go some 3x's, maybe make this a 3x, make this a 3x. Yeah, let's get into our foundations. Earth foundations. We don't want Blade Tooth because, and here's where the deck building process gets a little different. So you notice how I put a bunch of 4-ofs on all the cards that we could have possibly used in our deck. For the attacks, for the foundations, we don't really have to do that because we already have kind of the foundation of our deck and what it's trying to do. So now we just need things that synergize well with that. So we don't need Blade Tooth, we're not doing that. Disturbing Visage, we also don't need. Nope. On Sluggish Recovery, don't need Web of Blades. Now, Armored Muscle is a consideration because our character does cut for most of his abilities. By cutting, I mean losing health. So being able to kind of get that health back, I think is pretty important, actually. So I think I'm going to make this guy a 3-of for right now. Mass Menace. Mass Menace is quite good for the damage reduction ability, but it does debuild us one into our card pool, which is not exactly the most optimal. So I think I'm just going to not put that one in for right now, because I don't think we need it that much. Now, I love playing a 1-of copy of Pump Up in any defensive deck, because having the ability to flip a foundation to seal one of your rival's offensive foundations if you block is extremely good. And it's also just a 1-low block, so like, it's never bad. We don't need Terrifying Injury, we're going to be playing better Speed 8. Carpool to work, we don't really care that much about momentum, so this card's not amazing. I'll Protect You. Having -3 speed on a commit flip alongside our -4 speed just means that we have really strong speed hate. Saving Bakugo, we do have a lot of important foundations that we really don't want flipped, so I think tentatively this can be a 3-of. Kirishima's Assistance. This is maybe a sideboard card. I don't think we really need it right now. We can come back to the sideboard later. Arrogant Smirk. We're not doing any stuff with any of this stuff. Coping with number 1. We don't really need this card, I don't think. Nah, we don't really need that one. We already have plenty of card draw. We don't need that. Press Conference is a consideration because we are trying to kind of get in there. We're a mid-range deck, but we want our attack strings to be as free as possible. Alright, I don't know why I'm so tired. We want our attack strings to be as free as possible. So having a card that flips to essentially get -1 difficulty, make our jab essentially a 2-diff, which is very good, I think is pretty strong, but we don't necessarily need it, so I might come back to it. Quick to Act. This is arguably one of the best spam in our character. Saying after we've cut ourselves a decent amount to get to the point where our where this card is active. Just very good. We have so much control over whether this card is active or not. It's just very strong. Soul Piercing Glare, yet again, we're not doing the whole overflip stuff, and we don't play that many Furies, so we're just chilling on that one. Now, Stare Down is interesting just because of the fact that it does give us a little bit of foundation control in the fact that we can, you know, I'll say whatever your best foundation that you committed on my turn is now frozen, so you don't get it for a whole turn cycle. Is very good. However, I don't think we really need it. Thrilled Spectator, we don't really need the 6 checks, and weapons aren't like super prevalent. Jeez. So we don't need that one. Unnerving Energy. Unnerving Energy is a good momentum out if we didn't already have momentum outs, but we're trying to use our momentum for other things, so we don't really need the 2-4. Student of the Art, we aren't Ojiro, so that doesn't matter. Now, Talented Baker is a real consideration in our deck, just because of the fact that we do have so many cards that just draw us cards. So this card ends up being pretty free most of the time. However, it's not exactly something that's active on our character's face alone, so I'm probably not going to play it. The Earth symbol already has a lot of 3 low blocks as is, so we don't need to add that many more. Carbo Loading, we don't really need this one. We don't have good ways on our face to consistently gain health, so don't need that guy. Indenum, no. Honorable Forfeit, don't need that one. Male Bonding is a real consideration in this deck. Being able to tank some damage, let's say we pay 2 to reduce our opponent's attack by 4, and then we maybe take 1 damage, right? Male Bonding, getting us a free build off of that is very good. I'm going to put this guy in at a 4 of right now. One with Nature, this is the best foundation of the game, arguably, so putting that in as a 4 of should come as a shock to no one. Prehensile Tail, we're going to put 2 of right now. I really like splitting this card with Celebrity Status, just like as a 2-2 split, because with Pull No Punches, you get to do a lot of cool, unique tricks with this card and like back alleys and stuff like that. Snack Time, just also a very good discard outlet when we have extra cards that we don't need. Don't need Sports Festival, don't need Valiant Pose. Watching from a Distance is a really good mid block, but we don't need it per se. Chivalrous, easy 4 of, cards absurd. Petty Squabble, I really like as a 1 of. Having the ability to turn your extra foundations that you don't need on offense or defense into selective committal when your opponent plays an important spammable foundation ability is very good. Don't need Playful as a Cat. We're not a character stacker. We're not really discarding that many things. Battle Resolve, we have better quality 0 diffs. High value targets, we have better quality 1 diffs. New Training Method, one of the best foundations in the game, easy 4 of. Forcing Surrender, this is a sideboard card, which we'll make the sideboard here in a few minutes. Internship, we don't need that. Self-Propulsion, don't need that. Tutoring Kirishima, don't need it. Revel is a consideration for the spammable damage pump, and we are Endeavor, so once we get to the point where we have 10 or fewer cards in our deck, we do just get a form it and draw 2 cards, so like in those later games, this card becomes really strong. However, I don't think we really need the damage pump too much, so we're just gonna chill on that one. Manly Friendship, Face Shield, I don't like Face Shield in this kind of deck. I know most of the lists that top the Sheffield early were playing Face Shield in their main deck in this character. I think, personally, it's more of a sideboard card, because this deck is already, in my opinion, pretty good against a lot of the, like, super aggressive characters. He's got minus speed, minus damage on face, and he gets to do a lot of damage on the crackback. So why would we make our foundation lineup worse by playing a card that is essentially blank when we build it, right? And just a card that is kind of poorly statted for what it actually does. Manly Friendship, we don't really need the DR. So we're just gonna chill on that. Aiming for number one. We are not that character line, so we're just gonna chill on that. Learning the standards, I think, is a good 2 of, combined with our character's ability to make something like 1 damage. Oh yeah, I'll take 1 damage from your attack, and then now you have to play a non-attack card as your next form. Final exam failures. We're not really doing any like check modification stuff, so we don't need this card. Homage to my hero. We don't really do that much building. If anything, this would be for the after you are dealt damage by an unblocked attack, draw card. It's a consideration because we do play jab, we do play back alley. I think this could be like a... I'm going to put this in a 2-0 for right now, and we can come back to it. Childhood Friends, we don't really need this card. Celebrity Status, like I said, 2-2 split. It can't be fixed. Easy 4 of. It's one of the best spams in the game. It's got a 1-eye block. Pull no punches. We are a punch deck, so having this as deadlock pressure and also to do cool combos with it is very strong. Manly Passionate Guy, this is a 3 of. Being able to block with important foundations and build them is very good. Resistance is a consideration because it does give minus damage, which is pretty synergistic with what our character already does, and it is anti-stun. However, I don't think we really need this. We want the quality of our foundations to be very high, so we're just gonna chill. Apathetic. We're not really in on the whole flip game plan. If anything, Apathetic would be a sideboard piece for important deadlock foundations, so we can go into deadlock and just chill. So we might come back to that. Brute Strength. We kind of need a way to get out of deadlock in case we get to a point where we don't want to be there, like they have too much deadlock pressure and they're kind of forcing us off of deadlock. Having at least 1 copy of this, I think, is pretty important. Shock Absorption. We don't really need the -2 speed. We already have it on our face, and we're also already playing I'll Protect You, so no real reason to do that. Super Regen. This card is in this kind of the same boat as like the Muscular card, except it doesn't also have the utility of tapping down an important damage mitigation threat. So I think we could put it in a 3 of, and then we'll check and see what our blocks look like. Someone with Style, this is a very easy 2 of in like almost anything. It just does a lot. It's essentially a free foundation because we get to blow up a committed resource to ready it. It's anti-stun. It does so much. Tight-lipped, pretty easy 3 to 4 of. We'll put it in a 3 of for right now. And then let's get back to this. All right, so we have a lot of stuff. Obviously, we're going to be cutting a bunch of things. This is where we kind of have to dig in and make a lot of concessions on our foundations because we want to get this to around 60 is where my usual like mid-rangey to more control-y, slower style deck ends up being looking like. So I think the first thing we're gonna cut is probably Pump Up. As much as I love this card, we don't need the extra 3 diff. And we're already plentiful on low blocks. Something else that you should absolutely do is there's this little stats tab that you should be looking at every time you are building a deck. You should look at what your block mods are and what your highest concentration of them are. So like right now we can see that I need to cut high blocks because I have a lot of high blocks. So we're gonna look and we're gonna sort by block zone. So these are all our high blocks. The first thing that's going to go is Super Regeneration because we don't really need this one. Habit of refreshing every time. We don't necessarily need snack time. We do already have one with nature, and we already have really good deadlock threat. Yeah, I think we're gonna chill on that one. Let's see. I think maybe we don't really need brute strength if we already have someone with style, because we getting rid of one foundation every turn is usually good enough. We don't need the mass debuild, I think, in most situations at least. Now let's look at our block mods. So we have 32 high blocks, which is quite a few. I think most of this stems from our attacks, yeah? Yeah. So let's see. We really want to get this down to like 27-ish, somewhere in that kind of range. The real question is, how much do we value being able to gain our health back? Do we think that we're going to spam our character enough that we will need the ability to gain our 3 health back? I think the answer is in most cases no. By the time we get down to that point, we should already have them dead with a combination of quick to act plus back alley building it and just free stats. We're at 71. We need to cut about 11. We're going to trim 2 low blocks, which is really convenient because we have this 2 of homage to my hero that can just go. So now we're at 69. Ha, nice. We need to cut around, I want to say 6 cards. We want to get this to about 63, and that's not including our action and asset slots, which I usually end up doing sometime after I've already made the kind of skeleton for my deck, because your action and your asset slots are usually used to kind of patch holes that may happen in your strategy. So like, for example, seizing the advantage is really good in this deck with hardened jab. It lets us answer problem deadlock pieces that we don't want to have to deal with and all that kind of stuff. Block zone. Really aggressively trimming these high blocks. We can cut new training method to 3 of. It is a 4 check. We can cut it can't be fixed to a 3 of and play for tight lipped. So now we need to cut. Yeah, we need to cut 5 high blocks if we can. Either that or we just need to trim in general. I think what I'm actually going to do is we're going to trim hardened uppercut and we're going to replace it with an attack that has a low block. So let's go. Where is it? Punch. Attacks block zone. Low. Definitely not resolute rushdown. Probably not forceful blow. I think it's actually going to be. So it's between leaping right hook and merciless rush, honestly. We do have a few 5 diffs, but having this as a generic draw piece, I think, is pretty valuable, in my opinion. So now our block zones are a lot more evenly spread. What we can do is we get a cut to low blocks now. We can trim male bonding to a 3 of. We don't really need 4 of it. What is our difficulty? So we have, right now, we have 7, 11, 14 zero diffs. We want that to be somewhere around 10, usually. So I think I'm going to trim the Saving Bakugo. We don't particularly need the unflip. And we're going to need to compensate with that with more mids, which is going to be pretty easy because seizing the advantage is a mid block and definitely something that we want to be playing in our deck. Let's see. Can we where else can we trim? Is the real question. We want to trim another low block. We can play 3-1 with nature. It's not extremely important that we see the card every single time. It is very good though. I think we're also going to trim down to 2 manly. Just because of the fact that once we've seen it once, we can pick it back up with jab if we need it. We can find it off of our new training method. Just very easy to reuse anyways. We need to cut one more high block. Let's see. So I think that what we're actually going to do here is we're going to play a 3-3 split. Like this. We're at 20 low blocks. And now I can feel more comfortable just cutting a mid block here and calling it good. Block zone or low block. I think what we're actually going to do is we are going to play 3 chivalrous. We don't necessarily need the extra draw with the amount of draw we have in our attack package and the amount of card advantage just in general. So we're going to chill on that one. And then now we go to our actions and our assets. And what are our considerations? So we're looking for an asset or an action that has a mid block because we don't need extras of the other zones. So we're just going to scroll down here. What we're actually going to do is we're going to go mid block zone. So now the main consideration is seizing the advantage. We're going to put that in at a 3 of. And then we don't really need any of these other actions. And then our deck. So it's 64 cards, which is just about right for a deck that's kind of like slower, wants to play a more grindy game, just wants to have a lot of options. Do I think these are the optimal ratios? Well, that's where testing comes in, if I'm being honest. Once you've made the ratios for a deck, the most important thing you can do is test the deck to make sure that the ratios feel good. Because if the ratios don't feel good, then that means something needs to change. Now, mind you, that doesn't necessarily mean that the deck is bad. It just means that you may need to go back to the drawing board on some of the decisions that you made in the deck building process. And now we're going to look at side cards. So what are good side cards on the Earth symbol? So we're going to go Foundation, Attack, Asset, Action on the Earth symbol. Glacier Breaker is a fine sideboard option if you really need the low block coverage, but we don't. So we're just going to keep it moving on down. Armored Muscles maybe could come in for the super long games, but I think what we're more interested in here is gonna keep it going. Maybe Kirishima's Assistance as sideboard tech for Face Shield. Just gonna keep scrolling through here. Hardened Uppercut is one of the best sideboard attacks for if you need bonus speed hate. I don't know why, but my scroll wheel is going wacky. We can side an extra Prehensile Tail for decks that care about momentum, all that kind of stuff. We can side Snack Time for extra deadlock pressure. We can side the 4th Chivalrous. This is... We don't want to add 4 to sideboard. This is something else that you can look at your sideboard as. Basically an extension of your main deck. Maybe extra copies of things that you want in specific matchups. All that kind of stuff. Keep scrolling. We could maybe side an extra petty squabble for if we're playing against like life symbol or something and they have releases, rescue completed, stuff like that we care about. Just gonna keep scrolling through. Forcing surrender for like Moneta and the card pool clog decks. Face shield for like Asui, the combo decks, etc., etc. Let's see. Keep it moving. You're so obvious for if we need the damage reset and against the All Might 4 combo deck. Maybe resistance for if we need anti-stun. Apathetic for the foundation control in case we need this on top of seizing the advantage. Alright. So 23, this needs to get cut down, obviously. Snack time we can chill on. We don't really need it in our sideboard. Petty is fine as a 1-of in the main deck. Chivalrous is also fine as a 3-of in the main deck. We don't really need resistance. We already have decent stun hate. Apathetic, we're already running seizing the advantage, so we don't really need that. Then we need to cut 3 more. The obvious choice, in my opinion, is Face Shield. I know a lot of people like this card. I've never been a huge fan of it. It just feels like a do-nothing when you draw it and you aren't blocking with it. It makes your turn 1 builds a lot worse just by existing in your deck. So, therefore, bye-bye. And there you have it. This is the complete version of our Endeavor 2 list. Feel free to look at it, take some notes, copy it, whatever your heart desires. Thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Make sure you guys go like, comment, share, subscribe, check out my Patreon, check out PPG, links below in the description. This has been Matsu, signing out. Have a wonderful day.
What is up, Matsu Nation? Thank you for watching till the end of the video. If you enjoyed, like, comment, and subscribe. And check out all my socials and my Patreon. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and sayonara.